Hello, everyone. Welcome to this panel session on PyCon APAC 2020. The topic for today is going to be on how to tackle with hackathons, how to win it, how to deal with the hackathons themselves, and how to explore them, how to win them, of course. First of all, I would like to do some proper housekeeping before we start the session. Please remember that there is code of conduct that applies all through the event. Be mindful of it, please. I will also want to remind you of the Datam House rule, which essentially means that when a meeting or part of thereof is held under the Datam House rule, participants are free to use the information received and to produce audiovisual materials, whether it's audio, photo, or video. Yet neither the identity or the affiliation of the contributors or participants may be revealed, tagged, or implied without their express consent. In other words, be considerate and ask for permission before you post anything about others on social media or any other medium. Okay? I would also want to mention that we are going to be providing you with a dashboard for this session where you're going to be able to find information about the panelists today and also how to reach out to them later on. And without much more further ado, I would like to introduce our speakers for today for the session. I'm going to start with Faezrah. Faezrah is joining us from Sabah. She is the founder of Rambutan Code Academy, also the community leader at Developer Circles from Facebook. And she's also the co-founder of at Bayou Harvest, which I hope she's going to be giving us a little bit of context on that, because I've heard that somewhere that she had an award about it. I think that's going to be worth mentioning it. We also have Anmol, who's joining us from India. He is an international tech speaker. He's a distinguished guest lecturer and has represented India and many reputed international hackathons. So we're going to have quite some material here to discuss. And he's also a deep learning researcher and has over 8 publications. Recently, he has helped organize EuroPython 2020, and he's currently working on OLX Group. Finally, we got Darren Tan. He's a full stack journalist, and he's a data scientist, and also a serial hackathon winner with apparently over 6 podiums and 4 temp finishes, which I will also want to know more about. And he's currently working as a senior full stack developer at the Malaysian Global Innovation Creativity Center, also known as MAGIC for those who live here in Malaysia. Welcome, each of one of you. I would like to start the panel with first discussing or asking you, what is a hackathon for each of one of you? Okay, what do you feel a hackathon is? What do you feel is the purpose of a hackathon? And what a hackathon should be serving with? So I'm going to start first with Faezrah, please.
Right. Thanks for the introduction, John. Okay, so let's go straight with the first question. So what is a hackathon? For me, hackathon is something, it's an event that you can actually collaborate together with friends to solve something that matters. When I say something that matters, meaning a problem that's worth solving, something that is relatable to you and also to your community.
All right, let's go for Anmol.
Yeah, so as Faezrah mentioned, hackathon, in my view, is kind of an event where like-minded people collaborate with each other, they form teams, and they work together to solve a problem in a creative manner. And the format of a hackathon can be online, can be offline. So it totally depends on who the organizer is and how they're organizing the hackathon. At the end product should be like, it should be something that contributes or enhances some product or contributes something good to the community. And it introduces a new, you can say, flow or solves an existing problem in an elegant fashion. So that's a hackathon in kind of precise words.
Mm-hmm. Up to you, Darren.
Right. So hackathons, right? I agree with the first two speakers on their definition. I will offer my own, which is hackathon to me is a place where a venue for self-expression and creativity using technology. Okay, so people from different backgrounds will come together, form teams to solve a problem revolving around a central theme or idea proposed by the organizers. So the team will collaboratively code a unique solution from scratch within, I don't know, 24 to 72 hours. And the solution generally comes in the form of websites, mobile apps, or some data science solutions. Yeah, and you compete for very big cash prizes. So in a very layman term, right, a hackathon to me is like a very quick way to earn big bucks, lah. Yeah.
Okay, so I find it interesting to see a little bit of the contrast here between the different people. So most of you have been discussing the element of purpose, but also the element of collaboration. And Darren has been focusing a lot on the element of the prize winning. Darren, when you value the part of the prize winning, are you valuing the monetary aspect of it, or are you also valuing the potential outcome in terms of development of the product?
Right. So, in addition to being, having a big cash prize is awesome, of course. But it also gives me a place where not only like those ideas that you have in your head that you think about and you just joke around or maybe just share with your friends, it goes nowhere usually. So if you bring the same idea and you present it, share it in the same way, not only the idea goes somewhere, it reaches the high levels of the company, of the stakeholders, and you get a chance to bring it further. In some hackathons, they will work together with you to bring the idea to reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I would also first want to, before we keep diving into the subject, I would like to get a bit more of a perspective of your experience in hackathons, in terms of, have you always been participants? Have you ever been mentors? Or have you ever been judging one? So I'm going to go as well to do the full panel. So let's start with Faezrah.
Yes, so I've been a participant, also been a mentor and a judge in hackathons. It's good that you actually mentioned BioHarvest. So BioHarvest is actually a company that I co-founded with a friend of mine after we participated in a hackathon. So, so is it okay if I mention? So this right.
If it's related to the possible good outcome or positive outcome, as I was mentioning before with Darren, in terms of, it's not only the cash prize of the award itself, but also the continuity. Because I also wanted to discuss about continuity after hackathon. So by all means, go on.
All right. So last year I saw this advertisement about APEC App Challenge in Chile last year. So APEC stands for Asia Pacific Economic Cooperations, and so Malaysia is the member. So that advertisement was to actually find Malaysian developers to represent Malaysia to this international event. So me and my friend actually applied for that application, and then we were selected to represent Malaysia to this event. So during that 24-hour hackathon, so the theme was about solving a community problem for women entrepreneurs in your country. So for me, that is something that I can relate to. It's something that about community, right? So that is the first reason why I applied for hackathons. So as a participant, I look for the theme of the hackathons. Right. So after that, we joined the hackathon. We won an award, and then we thought, okay, so this is for us a good solution that we can help to bring to market, and that's how BioHarvest started. So yes, so I was a participant, and then that is the outcome. But at the same time, I've also been a mentor and a judge in hackathons.
And a judge. All right. So Anmol, what has been your role so far in hackathons?
Right. So I've been a participant as well as a mentor in many hackathons. My experience of participating in hackathons has been just amazing. I started with participating at regional level. in India, and then slowly started traveling across the nation to attend hackathons, followed by a few wins also. I was hungry for creating new stuff, and most of the hackathons that I took part in were technology oriented. So slowly and steadily, I started targeting the international hackathons. Till date, I have participated in a few dozens of hackathons and also have won some of them. So hackathons have taught me how to focus, and many hackathons I have done solo. So I should say that one gets to learn about managing different aspects and components when participating in an individual capacity. And you are the one who takes the product to completions, starting from the plan stage. So you are the one who actually lays out whole of the flow. And yeah,
We're going to get into
hackathons
that
have
later.
helped me. Yeah.
We're going to get
So
into that later. I don't want to cut it, but I would like to
yeah,
actually be able to focus on that particular element with
yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
Darren, finally, what has been your interaction with hackathons? In which capacity? You're unmuted, Darren. Modern day problems.
Right. So I've participated in hackathons since 2016. I think my first hackathon was in June 2016 at the Angel Hack KL. Back then, since then I've joined a total of 14 hackathons up until 2019.
That would be a participant.
After my 14th, sorry, as a participant, yes.
Correct.
And after 2019, I've sort of retired. I sort of retired from hackathons, and I've been joining hackathons as mentor and mostly as judges. I've judged in about, I think, 9 or 10 hackathons in the past 1 year.
It's interesting. I never thought about someone retiring from being an actual participant of a hackathon. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, because it's sort of like you already know how things go, and I mean, you roughly know how to win and stuff, and then want to give chance to the other generation or the other or other like the students or fresh levels for their time to shine, and perhaps you can contribute your knowledge in other ways to help out the hackathon community.
Right. So that leads me to the next question, which is sort of the core of the whole session. What is your specific strategy when it comes to winning or approaching, whether it is solo, whether it is with a team? What are the type of people that you try to get with? Are you attempting to win for the win, or you value more be able to create an idea, and if it doesn't work during the hackathon, doesn't matter, because the idea actually is born there and it can grow somewhere else. So Faezrah, what would be your strategy if you wanted to win? Let's put it for this particular person. If you wanted to win, if your objective was to get the award and to get the money and to get whichever extra support, how have you prepared so far for that?
I would make sure I would make sure to join as a team. So in my team, I would want to have, so everyone should have a different skill set. So if I code, so my team member should be able, one should be able to actually present, and then the other one should be in charge of front end, for example. So for me, forming a team is very important. If you want to join a hackathon, that is the first thing that you should look at. You should actually find someone who you can work with, because hackathon usually in a very short term, right? Usually 24 hours. So in 24 hours event, you have a lot of pressure. So you need to be able to collaborate with people you can actually work with.
Correct. One more.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with Faezrah on the first point of having a team to collaborate with. I think the very next point to highlight here is that the problem statement should be very clear, and the scope of the project also should be very clear. If you are able to kind of have a clear scope of project, and then also are able to highlight the value additions that you are making, then that's kind of you can say an idea which may hit or which may strike the judges in a correct and better manner. So you should be good at highlighting the value additions. You should be good at presenting your points clearly and in a crisp fashion. So that, again, apart from having a collaborative team, you need to have a good and clear understanding of what the problem statement you are talking about and what's the solution you are proposing.
Correct. And finally, Darren, please.
Yeah. So I'll break down the strategy to before, during, and after. Okay. So before a hackathon, I think the first thing you should have is enough rest. Okay. Because you're gonna burn through out the next 24, 48 hours. Okay. Other than that, very trivial tip. The more important one would be, first of all, is to prepare your tool set. Of course, like every chef, you want to have a good set of tools. You learn out all the latest technologies, keep up to date with the technologies that's upcoming and is current, like the latest APIs being released by Microsoft, Google, or whatever, Amazon. So you know what's available out there for you to at your disposal, right? And other than your skill set, knowledge, and language, choose the one you're most comfortable with, the most comfortable language you can code in. Doesn't matter, and just prepare one language that you are very familiar with for mobile, one for web, and so on. And other than that, to form a team, best to network. I mean, either from your friends. Best if you can get friends that you work together before with, either in day to day in work or as a student in assignments, right? Because having chemistry, having good teamwork really matters. Because I've been in situations where the team is incompatible. So each team that I've entered hackathon with, if I recall correctly, none of it was with the same set of people, right? So there were some teams that worked really well, and those teams are friends. There was one team which are total strangers, but that it's a one time only. There's one time there was one time a team of 5 very exceptional people, but the problem with the team was there was no lack of chemistry and ideas keep clashing, and it was really hindering the progress. So having the right teammates really matters. Other than that, okay, during is when the hackathon is happening, you need to know the judges, who are the judges, what are their backgrounds. That really helps.
So
The team
essentially,
has being soft.
you do your opposition research to know how
Yeah,
to
you do.
sell and how to present. Okay.
Exactly. If you can present some a solution, or in your project you mentioned something that touches the judges' experience or their expertise, you get to connect with them more. Other than that, during the theme of the hackathon matters, let us understand, okay, this is the organizer, let's say it's a property developer, like recently the IOI hackathon. What kind of problems they are facing right now, and which are the problems that is the most painful to them among all the available things you can create, which one will help them solve the biggest problems. So yeah, during a hackathon it's good to decide all this, to observe and decide on all these things. And
So the
after a
thing,
hackathon, sorry, yes.
please. Yes, there's a lag, so it's difficult to synchronize. Please go on.
So lastly, after a hackathon, I would think there's even things to do after a hackathon. So after a hackathon, after the results are announced, whether you win or you don't win is always good. I emulate my good friend Yok Tian to go and speak to either the judges or mentors or organizers to find out what you can improve for your next hackathon. Right? What do you miss? Why you didn't win? Why you won or something like that? So that you can get you can do a proper post-mortem after each hackathon. Yeah.
Correct. So when it comes to you in particular, Darren, seems to be doing a lot of opposition research, a lot of research before the hackathon. Faezrah, did you do any research as Darren was mentioning? Did you strategize that, or you just go to the event and let's see what happens this weekend? Typically, it happens this weekend.
Oh, I would do research in terms of the theme of the hackathon, and also if they provide the problem statements beforehand, then I would do research on that. But I think it's a good strategy mentioned by Darren about you know doing research on the judges. Because I've never done it before as a participant, and as a judge, I actually never thought about the participants would actually check my profile in order for them to, as a strategy to win. But yeah, I usually will just do research on the topic itself.
And how about you, Anmol? Have you ever consulted with Secret Services to try to get some inside information from the judges?
It's the thing is that specifically talking about civic hackathons and when they are themed hackathons, those sort of hackathons actually attract subject matter experts. So when you are at themed hackathons, you already know like these are going to be the potential participants and subject matter experts in the hackathon. So you try to connect with them, share your ideas and thoughts, and also plan ahead in time about the hackathon and the track, because it's a theme hackathon. So you should be knowing that it's related to COVID, so you should be actually doing some research prior to the hackathon. So talking with subject matter experts in that scenario makes sense, and I have done like this for a hackathon which was themed for smart cities. So that helped me a lot. I also curated some data to train my models during the hackathon. So that was quite helpful. Yeah.
So in your case, Darren, we know that you do. And have you ever come up with any interesting piece of data that you would never admit that you discover about a judge? And you thought, you know, this is interesting.
Not that I can recall of.
I'm not asking you to
You
reveal
mean
it.
interesting information about judge that otherwise I wouldn't have found out?
Yeah, unexpected. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think I've covered any of information that's surprising, because mostly I'll just go through their LinkedIn or how their company's website, where they write like about us. Okay, this let's say director of engineering of a certain company. What's their background? What's their past experiences? So perhaps let's say his current company is. I mean, he's been in the fintech industry, ABC times, and maybe in the past years, he tried to solve a certain problem. Maybe he shared about certain solution, right? So you could, work. Maybe your solution somehow relates to that solution that he couldn't solve or he tried to solve as well. So you guys can connect on that level. Yeah.
So would you guys say that aside from the strategic point of view in terms of observing what certain judges may have been involved before, do you think there's also a component when it comes to motivation, as in trying to understand what is it that steers the interests of the particular judges, that what is their ethos in life, what are their values? Because a lot of times you can deduce what motivates someone by the project they have been doing, or sometimes they're just doing a job, and you know that you discover that there's something more behind their particular motivations. Have you ever seen thought about it? Do you consider? Let me rephrase the question. Do you feel that not only the motivation for the award should be there, but also a purpose-driven consideration that may be relating at that point with some of the judges and therefore get much more their appreciation? Let's say Anmol.
Yeah.
Go with you.
So in
Yeah.
my view, it's like definitely the motivation also is something which drives also the participants, because I have personally experienced this thing. Like people who participate, sometimes they are not able to win cash prizes or any of the prizes that are there, but it's kind of a follow up from the, you can say, judges also. With the participants after the hackathon. So post hackathon follow-ups also happen in order to shape their ideas. Whichever participants actually proposed a good idea which could help solve some problem with the community or say enhance some problem, judges have actually followed up with those teams and actually took their project to completion and also shaped their project. So that has happened, and I have personally experienced that. So I think really that motivation also and the idea behind all these things also matter a lot, apart from just money and the prizes that you have to offer.
Faezrah, do you have anything to add on that? You agree? Do you feel?
I absolutely agree. Not only so, if you want to participate in a hackathon, you actually have to make sure not only you want to win the awards, but if you can relate to the problem statement that is being presented to you, you should. Then I believe that you can come up with a solution that can actually solve the problem. And afterwards, whether or not you win or not, then probably you can try and bring whatever solution that you build during the hackathon to actually try to actually solve the problems. So yeah, motivation to actually understand what is actually that you're trying to solve during the hackathon is very important.
What has been the longest hackathon that you've ever participated? Yeah, you did it.
So far for me, it's only 24 hours. 24 hours ish. Not more than 48 hours. I've never
I
experienced
think
more
that's the
than that.
longest one. And more, have you had anything
Yeah.
beyond 48 hours?
Yeah, my longest streak has been of 106 hours at stretch. So it
Okay.
was a hackathon in one of the universities in India, which lasted for 4 days, and then pre and post
Whoa.
event things actually took like the pitching and all. Almost took me 106 hours at stretch for that hackathon. So it was pretty exhausting, but like the sort of you can say. Mindset I had after the hackathon, it was really focused, and my, you can say, way of working changed after that hackathon, because I started organizing myself more after that hackathon, as I experienced a lot of things during that hackathon. So yeah, that was like a life-changing experience for me.
So
So yeah.
before I jump into you, Darren, I got two follow-up questions for Anmol. One actually comes from the audience. What was your trick to be able to keep up with so many hours? That was the first question. Second question, how many hours do you sleep right after?
Uh, on regular basis, also, I'm not like sleeping very much. I usually take a nap of say 3 or 4 hours only, even today. And you can say the trick to actually sustain for such long in hackathons is just to be focused. I don't depend on caffeine. I don't depend on any extra, you can say, energy drinks or any sort of those things. The only thing is that you should be having a good positive environment around you, and if the problem statement is so good that you are very dedicatedly working on that, then that actually is the drive. So yeah, and it was during my early days when I was into hackathons for say 1 year or so. So I was really new to this world, and I also wanted to grow. So my motivation was to go from national level to international level, and that was again sort of push that I got. So yeah, these were some of the factors which were there, which pushed me to sustain through these hours.
And right after all of those hours, you didn't crash.
I slept for 14, 15 hours the next day, but yeah, I was able to recover.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
human after all. Okay.
Yeah.
Darren, how about you? What was your longest experience?
I cannot recall exactly how long was each hackathon. I remember most of it is 24 hours, as in the duration of the countdown is always 24 hours, except for there was one hackathon that I recall, which is in Italy, in Vatican City. It's called the Vatican Hack. For that, the hackathon took place over 4 days, but the actual time to hack, as in the countdown timer, was 36 hours. I had to work with team members from different countries. I think one was from US, one was from Israel, one was from Greek. And then, it was pretty fun. So for hackathons, which are 24, 48 hours, it's a misconception that we don't sleep. We do sleep. You will want to sleep because there will reach a time where you will burn out and you can't think or code any further. So but among the teammates, you have to agree, take shifts to sleep, or agree like to sleep maximum how long if you are all in to actually win it. Because sort of throughout the hackathons I joined, slowly from I don't know, like just joining for fun to become joining competitively. So you need to have like collaboration, a game plan basically.
Yeah, so essentially your experience shows you that as you move forward into the hackathon scene, the more structured you are, the more you can motivate yourself, the more you can have access to tracks that are properly defined, the more you have a team or an ability to actually choose random people that you just met in order to have a good connection and a good flow, and as less frictious as possible is basically what can lead you into a better, more bigger chances of success. Now, this one thing that I want to discuss that I feel a lot of times is I'm not going to say they get neglected by the teams, because I do believe that the teams realize the importance of it. I think I observed a lack of preparation in general because of the nature of the technical people. We're talking about technical hackathons here. Okay? We're not talking about polythons. We're not talking about other type of subjects or thematic areas. Traditionally, we don't really have in the syllabus of our academic lives preparation as speakers. Normally as a technologist, you're going to be requested to solve a problem in a team and so forth. But I don't recall at all having a special subject at any point in my career when it was, let's present something. And they would not foster those kind of skills. And in the end, being able to project and to explain and transmit your idea is one of the essential parts. You can have the most fantastic project on paper, and you can even have a very, very nice MVP. Now, if you have no one to actually translate that, so what would be your recommendation in terms of making sure that you have your skills? Is it prior preparation? Do you actually prepare for that? Is it something that you have even taken for yourself as a personal skill that you want to have in your career, aside from hackathons themselves and so forth? Aaron. I mean, I see it with a microphone, so obviously you have been training yourself in public speaking. You're set up already. Right.
No, actually, no. Just throughout the past lockdown in Malaysia, right? I've been invited to a lot of talks. I think close to 9 or 10. And halfway through, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get a proper mic this time and to set up the proper streaming thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
do you guys agree that is one of the fundamental elements for succeeding in the?
All right. Is public hackathon? Is public speaking an important skill to have in winning hackathons? Is it? Okay. Yeah. So just to share, actually, before my first hackathon, I think the most I've ever presented is in front of my class. Relatively comfortable presenting in front of my class, but in my first hackathon, I was thrown in a totally different stage. In the first hackathon, managed to get the top 12 to present on the stage, and that stage was the stage of the largest hackathon ever held in Malaysia with over 400 participants. So from 30 people, I ended up presenting for the first time, my first ever hackathon I presented on stage in front of 400 people. So from then, I was really thrown into the ocean. So throughout all the hackathons, as I get to present more and more in front of stage, present on the project, it really got me out of my shell. So from someone who's a bit passive and a bit stage shy, I would say, I used to have stage panic. So as I present more and more on the hackathons, it helped me to grow, helped me to overcome the stage fright, the passiveness, and improve my self-confidence. And that's how I got to getting invited to all these talks recently.
Definitely, which on top of that, I think is a very, very valuable skill in general. So a lot of times you're going to have ideas, even in your professional life, that you will want to pitch to your boss. If you don't have the ways to actually communicate it and to pass it, or even if you have to change something in your company culture or the way something is implemented in your infrastructure, whatever it is, if you can't transmit that idea, it's exactly the same kind of situation as any other hackathon. So, Faezrah, have you also experienced the importance of how to pitch?
How to pitch in general, yes. So how to, I think it's important for you to actually have a good not public speaking, but how to pitch in general. Yes, I think it's good for you to have that skill. But as for me personally, I also do not have any lessons specifically how to pitch. So it's just when you pitch a lot, when you talk in front of people a lot, then you have your own, you develop your own pattern, and then you overcome some of your weaknesses when watching your previous presentations, for example. But I think in the future, I would like to also go to this professional classes on how to pitch, how to actually properly speak in public. But yeah.
How about you, Anmol? How do you feel about the subject?
Yeah, personally speaking, the articulation really matters. So you have to be structured in your thoughts. Once you are in hackathon and you have the plan in mind, you have the things going as per the plan. And if you have sort of say minimum viable product, you actually sort of gain some confidence also. So even if you are not prepared with public speaking skills, if you have your thoughts laid out well in your mind, you can actually go and speak in front of people and also pitch better in front of public. The main thing is that you learn over time. It's not that some public speaking classes will give you exposure and then you will be able to do a super sort of pitch in front of public. The thing is that if you are not having confidence in your product, you will not be able to pitch. So having confidence in your product, the solution that you have come with is really something important, and it comes above public speaking skills. And once you have this thing, like Darren mentioned before also, that you need to do postmortems after your hackathons. So you need to get feedback, you need to work upon them, and slowly and gradually you actually gain these skills and everything comes into shape. So yeah, public speaking is not really kind of the go-to thing when you are talking about pitching to hackathons. The first thing is that you should be clear with your idea. You should be able to, you can say, convey your thoughts to public and tell more about what your idea is. If you have a solid product, then you can actually nail it without even having good public skills. Public skills is these skills come at a later stage when you are actually too much into and you have gained some sort of recognition, and then these things matter, that you need to be polished in your speaking and you need to be you should be seen as a good, you can say, public speaker, but that comes at a later stage in my personal experience, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And also, sorry, John, I have something to add on to this topic. So on just you mentioned how public speaking also helps, whether the skill helps in your in your career, right? So I can think of, I think, two instances where gaining the skill of public speaking through hackathons helped me in my day-to-day career, right? So first of all would be during freelancing, where you have to make proposals, you need to pitch to clients in order to get a project, right? So learning how to create pitch decks, or how to speak in articulate manner, how to express your thoughts well and confidently, definitely helps in getting the freelance projects. And another way in career, right? In a day-to-day career, in terms of a full-time job, it definitely helps you in interview. The same skill set applies in interviews, and at the same time, the advantage it gives you is that most technical people are not expressive, are not that well outspoken, right? So you, as a technical person with some outspoken skills, definitely, first of all, helps you get through that interview door, right? Secondly, also helps you in further stages when you're moving up from technical and slowly to management and above levels. Yeah.
So before I jump into the reason why this question was triggering me, I want to go back to what Anmol was mentioning, because in your opinion, if you don't feel comfortable enough or reassured enough about the project that you are developing, would you still present or not? If you're not going to carry it, if you're not going to be feeling, reassured enough about the quality of it, would you just keep it? Don't expose yourself. Don't put you into a situation where you might be, I'm not going to say attacked, but put on the fire, because that's part of the job of the judges, to be able to probe the quality of the project. Would you strategically let it go, not present, and wait for a better occasion, or you will still go just for the experience of it?
Talking about me, usually in such cases, I go and present because I get feedback after everything happens. I get feedback from judges. I get feedback from peers, the participants who are there in the hackathon, and also when in such cases when I'm not confident enough to pitch for a product, it usually is the case that I am not ready with my product. Also, I have left in between, say, with some raw prototypes, with some minimally working, you can say, product, and things are not changed together, they are not working as a whole thing. So in that case also, I actually seek for you can say suggestions after I pitch. So I definitely go for pitch. I'm already it's already clear in my mind that I'll not be getting any sort of prizes or anything like that. But yeah, suggestions and feedback really matter. So one should not refrain from going and pitching in front of people. One should not be having any sort of fear pitching an incomplete project.
So would you say that the fear factor should never be a friction?
Yeah,
overcoming your fear, no matter what, is the way to progress.
Yeah, because fear actually hinders your progress. So yeah, fear factor is nothing to worry about.
Okay, so to hell with fear. Very simple.
Yeah.
Hard to implement. Very simple concept. Very difficult to implement. So the reason why I was mentioning about the presentations is because you've had all of you experience as mentors, and I would like to ask you: have you ever observed any any specific instance of a hackathon where the teams were provided with mentorship towards presentation? Any of you? The first one that wants to jump into it.
I don't think I've specifically for I don't think so. If specifically for the pitching, you mean? No, I don't think so.
I mean, typically, what we observe is mentors that are going to be, guiding you in terms of strategic, in terms of technicalities, subject expert matters on whatever it is. Okay, whatever is the trend. I am yet to see myself any hackathon that has been focusing on the fact that, well, if presentation is so important, why are we not training our teams to be able to transmit the ideas? Are we missing something there that you guys feel that that's something that hackathons should actually invest in terms of resources to provide to the teams? All right.
Yeah, I totally agree, John. So hackathons, I mean, if to address that problem, right? The organizers should actually have a good balance of mentor pool. The mentor pool should consist of experts from the technical field, the design field, UI UX field, from the business viability or the subject matter experts of that particular domain, not necessarily technical, but on the process flow and business flow, as well as, of course, people who are good at pitching and creating pitch decks. So they can advise on the participants on how to improve their pitching and also how to improve the pitch deck, because ultimately it's not about what you build, but what value you bring with that project.
Correct. How about Anmol? Would you also have maybe not now because you guys have already seasoned participants and you have built your own confidence, you have built your own experience. But do you think that for newbies, for people who are getting introduced, it would be a great value to actually have that kind of mentors?
Yeah, I think, definitely hackathons till date lack support from mentors. Many newcomers who join hackathons, I have seen them that they are seeking guidance and assistance from different participants, but other participants are also not able to help them a lot because they are focusing on their own projects. And sometimes I have seen these newcomers pumped with energy during the start of hackathons, but eventually losing interest, getting frustrated, and even leaving the hackathons towards the end because they have got stuck at very trivial thing. So not having mentors during the hackathon actually poses challenges to the newcomers and also gives them a bad, you can say, picture about what hackathon is and how those are conducted. So yeah, definitely technical support or subject matter experts should be there to support these newcomers, and also they should be guided on how to deliver their ideas and represent their idea to the wider audience. So yeah, definitely these two areas are something that are not that great till date. So yeah, definitely there's need of having good mentors for both the areas.
I would also like to add. So I remember one of the hackathon that I was also a judge last year. So most of the participants only concerned about finishing up their products and then only leave about maybe 2-3 hours stop to prepare for their pitching. And then there was also no guideline about how do you actually, because you're given a time limit at most 7 minutes, 5 minutes pitching, and then 2 minutes Q&A, right? So, but most of the hackathons that I've been to, whether as a participant or as a judge, we don't actually give these participants the guideline on how do you actually structure your slides, your deck to pitch, because yes, you've been coding for 24 hours, but you've only will be able to present whatever solution that you have in 5 minutes. So yes, in addition to mentorship in pitching for the hackathon, I also would like to see if we can provide for the next hackathons, provide at least like a structure on how to pitch, for how to prepare your deck, for example. Yeah.
Yeah, and on top of that, being able to provide a specific structure for each of one of the pitches allows for better rating. It allows for judges to be able to understand exactly in which phase of the presentation you are, what kind of information you're presenting, and how you're going to be rating that. It basically standardizes the process in terms of pitching. Now, the question that immediately comes to mind is, we already have identified one element that is critical for teams to be able to produce a good result. What else is missing? What in your experience as participant, as mentor, and as judge, what have you observed that should have been covered by hackathons at large, and yet you keep wondering, why is this not being addressed? And I'm asking this question because it could be an asset for teams who actually prepare on that particular element that may not have been so much addressed by organizers so far in order to win. Darren, anything based on your experience?
Can you rephrase your question?
Yeah. So we just identified the fact that pitching is very important. It's one of the most critical things in order to be able to pass that. We have also identified that there's a lack of mentorship for that to be able to produce it, to actually foster that for the teams. Is there any other thing that you have observed in general in hackathons, organization, mentoring, and or judging that you feel should be tackled with or addressed?
Right, on how to create better hackathons.
For instance,
things you can address. I think I've recently been observing the backlash, or rather the discussions online about hackathons, but this is not from the participants' point of view. It's more from, I don't know, the non-participants or the corporate organizers' point of view. They are a bit bitter or a bit about concern about the lack of following up or lack of progress after hackathons, right? So what comes after? So in hackathons, there's actually like there's main 4 reasons why a hackathon is held. We must always go back to that. One is to scout for ideas, scout for talents, scout to improve company branding or community building. So mainly it's like some hackathons achieve their goals of scouting for ideas, but some of them for the idea section, either they want to bring it, they either just want the ideas alone, just to crowdsource for ideas. 2 is to actually help to bring the ideas to life. Like the company, let's say Maybank has all the resources, the monetary resources. They can actually help to mentor, provide these tools, facilities, and guidance required for this team of technologies to help bring the idea to reality. So I think in Malaysia, the most of the hackathons lack on the following up aspect. As in, after they win, how can you ensure that this hackathon, this winning idea, it doesn't just stay an idea? How does it? What can you do? Or what's your follow-up plan to make sure it is followed up strongly until it becomes a reality? So I can see that I had a chance to give a bit of input in the upcoming Penjana Hackathon it's a national level government service hackathon. So for that one, they have 2 tracks. One track is for fun, which is top 3 winners for each hackathon. There's multiple hackathons. So in each hackathon, they will have top 3 winners for fun participants, which is it's just a cash prize as usual. The other one is a grant. It's a cash prize plus conditional grants, where you will need to consent to you'll commit 6 months after the hackathon. If you should you ever win, you'll commit 6 months to the hackathon to make sure you bring the idea to reality. So having and there will be people who will handhold you. Handhold and follow up with you weekly on what's the progress, when can we deploy this, and so on. So I believe having measures in place like that can help to incentivize the winners to bring the idea to reality.
So essentially, you're saying that there's a lack of thinking of and what now, what after. I mean, to have a plan to not just structure an event that is going to be intense for a weekend, but also how is going to be the application or why you're going to do the follow-up. Faezrah, anything you want to add?
Well, I agree with what Darren has said, but then this got me to think about, because hackathons usually attract technologists, right? People who are developers like ourselves, and most of the time when you want to when developers they join. So I'm sorry for generalizing this, but most of the time when we join hackathons, like Darren has said earlier, that we just want to win the prize, right? It's not so much about what comes after. What do we do next? Okay, we win the prize, and that's it. But then do we then want to actually filter those who actually join the hackathon, so that we get people who really want to solve the problems, not only to get the prize but also to really solve the problems. So
Do you
yeah,
think,
it's
do you think that that's a cultural problem, or do you think that's a educational problem? So do you think that has to do with the environment, or do you think it has to do with academia? Do you think that if during your time at university you be provided with guidance or with the concepts of, don't just concentrate on your own little cave of finding the next library and the next API. Try to find a bit of a different measure of things. Try to have another purpose. And so, do you think that actually would help for that? Do you think that there's an origin in the way technologies are trained that leads into that particular sort of narrow-minded, and I'm not saying from an insulting perspective, but like very track-sided, like this is going to be my career, just executing, solving problems, executing next thing, and just for personal benefit, and forget about the rest.
That is a very interesting question. I think it's not so much about how, because we are trained like that, and thus that's how we want. That's how we are. But I think I think it comes to like your personal preference. I think it's nothing to do with how we are trained, but it's basically whether or not whether or not you have real interest in the problem statements. I think it will. I think I will go back to that one, and then I think
I'm going to do a follow-up with that with Anmol. Do you think that there's another factor, which is the market-driven need? Do you think market is to actually shape that particular attitude?
I think that so I'll be combining both the points which Faezrah and you raised. So definitely, if there's some sort of, you can say, area where this product can be leveraged, or the solution that you are proposing can be leveraged, then you will be, you can say, more focused and more dedicated towards solving and cracking that problem. So that gives you sort of motivation and gives you a drive to nail the, you can say, project, whatever you are proposing. So if you have some sort of, say, thing in front of you and you think that your idea can actually solve a bit of it, then definitely that adds a lot more to the, you can say, the energy which the participants are having, and also it actually kind of synergizes the whole team to work together towards solving that problem. So yeah, that is really important to the extent, I think.
So we are pretty much finishing with the session, and I would like to ask maybe a controversial question here, very quick for each one of you, very quick answer. Do you think that hackathons are basically based on speculative work? Quickly, Darren, yes, no?
Sorry, or what was the what do you
Do you
say?
think hackathons are basically mainly based on speculative work?
Speculative. What to define speculative work then?
So
let me try to get.
yeah. So do you think they really have a practical outcome, or it's all basically vaporware that is created on the spot for the
Vaporware.
on the sake of it, and tomorrow we don't care anymore? Moving on.
Yes or no? 50-50, I think.
50-50.
I did see outcomes that become startups in real life, but so yeah, it's 50-50.
Yeah, so we're talking about, at large here. We're not talking about specific team of people who put together a hackathon because they really want to see an impact. They really want to have a change. And so they're going to be fostering and helping the teams and actually getting them to be going somewhere. So we're talking about the whole industry, the whole scene at large. Faezrah?
If we are talking about the industry at large and not specifically a certain type of people, then I would say very controversially, yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Anmol.
Yeah, so talking about speculative work, yeah, it's good to have a structured approach towards any idea that you are solving, be it any team. But hackathons give you a lot of surprises. There are, like, when you are dealing with technical hackathons, there are a lot of things that don't work and you have to find new ways and you have to switch gears. So every member of the team is a leader there. If someone sees that someone is stuck somewhere, then they should quickly switch gears and work on something new, or say a substitute which can solve the problem. So yeah, initially you can say that it's a kind of speculative work, but yeah, roughly and like gradually over the time during the course of hackathon, it turns into some haphazard work, which is actually chaining few things together and getting you to a minimal viable product. So yeah, that's something that I think.
Okay, so I have now a few quick questions for each of one of you. All right, these are going to be first thing that crosses your mind. Okay, so we finished the session with that. I'm going to start with Faezrah. Favorite fruit?
I'm sorry, favorite fruit?
Yeah.
I would say actually mango.
Okay, I was not expecting that one. If you guys
were you expecting rambutan or something? Yeah.
Okay, Darren, according to the reptile database, there's 41 species of python. Which version do you think is the most poisonous?
Most poisonous. There's some very specific names, but the ones I can come to mind right now is cobra.
That wasn't the question. I was saying which version is the most poisonous. Basically, from all the versions of Python you've been exposed to, which one has given you the most difficulties, if any?
Most poisonous? Most
difficulty. Which version of Python moved? You changed to version 1 to version 2. You said, damn it, I'm missing this right now.
Yeah. I think the older one is hard. Is more difficult.
Okay. Anmol, one thing tech should solve.
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Yeah, one thing that you think, one element, one project, one problem that you think technology should solve.
That should be around some medical, you can say, field. A lot has been there in the medical field. A lot of diseases are there, and we have been seeing people getting with Neuralink and sort of things. A lot of advancements have been happening in the field of science as well as technology. So yeah, to solve problems with the healthcare it should be the utmost priority.
Mm-hmm. And Faezrah, one thing that tech messed up.
Ooh, I need time to think about what.
You've got time. TikTok.
Oh. Sorry, I can't think of anything.
It's okay. Darren, one accomplishment.
Sorry?
One accomplishment.
Accomplishment.
So
okay, I'm just gonna stick back to hackathon, which is winning a hackathon solo. Among all the hackathons I've joined one of it solo, and I've won first prize for it, and I got the cash prize all to myself without needing to split. So that was one of my proudest accomplishments.
One wish.
Sorry?
One wish.
One wish. For us to find the vaccine for COVID-19 soon.
Okay.
Ooh.
Anmol, I'm gonna bring the question back to you. One thing that tech messed up, since you already proposed something that it should solve.
Yeah. So I think this like talking in terms of advancements again in terms of technology, whatever we are having, genetically mutating the stuff is something which has raised some concerns and also has given some exploits which people can actually manipulate with. So yeah, so technology has solved a lot of problems, but coming to playing with technology along with life is something which is kind of very unexpected, and it messed up everything. So people are genetically mutating the genes, so genetically mutating organisms, and then a lot of new things are coming up. So this is something which tech has not done a good thing. It's not something which is good, which has happened.
Okay. Darren.
Yeah.
AOS limau, tetarik, or barley?
Sorry, I cannot get your question.
AOS limau, tetarik, or barley?
Data rate for sure.
Tetarik. Okay. And one question for the three of you. One place to go after the pandemic. Faezrah.
Bosnia.
Bosnia. Darren.
Switzerland.
Switzerland. Anmol.
It's the same as Sharon Jungfrau.
Okay, thank you guys so much. We come up to the end of the session. I want to thank you a lot for your time and for the answers. And it's been a very interesting panel. I hope we entertain the audience. Virtual panels tend to be kind of complicated. It's not always easy to make things spicy enough and interesting enough. I'm finally going to be introducing myself. The reason why I didn't do it at the beginning of the session was to not overshadow the important people here, which were the speakers. My name is Jean-François Guérard. You can call me John. I'm the CEO and founder of a nonprofit called the IO Foundation, which advocates on data-centric digital rights. And specifically, one of the subjects why this panel was very interesting to me personally was because we feel that there's a lack of attention towards data privacy and digital rights in general when it comes to hackathons. That typically there are no points, there's no merit into presenting solutions that are going to be user-centric or human rights-centric, digital rights-centric, and that would be something that I would point out as what's missing in current hackathons. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I hope you had a good time. You should have on the chat a link. I can ask the organization to please repost the link in case it's been lost on the upper part, where you're going to be able to find sort of dashboard where you can find ways to be in touch with Faezrah, with Darren, with Anmol, and myself. We'll also be there in some private rooms right now in case anybody wants to approach us on the spot. And if not, you have their LinkedIn, their Twitter, and their email addresses in case you want to discuss with them. Right after this session, we're going to be jumping into the hackathon launch. Okay, so please stay in line and enjoy the rest of your ICON APAC 2020. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
You, bye.
Microsoft is delighted to be at PyCon. Hope you are enjoying the sessions. Scan the QR code to join the Microsoft developer community and receive regular updates on many open source topics, including Python.